Hello and welcome to Planetary Overload. My name is AJ Heyer.
And I'm Cole Hughes.
This is a bi-weekly podcast where we introduce to you new hobbies. Think of us like a starting point or it's a tutorial of where to start. Make sure to send us to your friends if you already take part in this hobby and want to share it. What are we doing today?
We are doing trading card games.
TCGs, as defined by Wikipedia, which is quoted by the book by Jane Frank, role-playing games and collectible card game artist, a biographer. Woo, this is a doozy of a name. A biographical dictionary, a collectible card game, CCG, also called a trading card game, TCG, which we will be referring to it as TCG for the rest of this show, is a strategy card game created in 1991 and consists of specifically designed sets of playing cards. These cards use proprietary artwork or images to embellish the card. CCGs may depict anything from fantasy or science fiction genres, horror themes, cartoons, or even sports. Game text is also on the card and is used to interact with the other cards in a strategic fashion. Games are commonly played between two players, though multiplayer formats are also common. Players may also use dice, counters, card sleeves, or playmats to complement their gameplay. CCGs can be played with or collected, and often both. Generally, a CCG is initially played using a starter deck. This deck may be modified by adding cards from a booster pack, which contain around 8 to 15 random cards. As a player obtains more cards, they may create new decks from scratch. When enough players have been established, tournaments are formed to compete for prizes. That is a doozy of a description.
That is a large description.
So, just to kind of digest that a bit, it is a strategy card game, not unlike your playing card games, where you collect different cards, though, that have different rules text on them.
Right.
And we'll kind of get into that a little bit now. I was going to say later, but now each TCG follows a fundamental set of rules, which is further manipulated by the text on the card. So to digest that a little bit more, it is a form of collectible cards that have rules that is then manipulated by the cards themselves.
Right. And each set of cards or card game that you have will have a different way to play it.
And for the most part, it generally follows this same set of phases, but they can change depending on that. And we would explain the phases, but that kind of gets out of the scope of the show, and it's really complicated sometimes.
Right.
TCGs tend to be one of the more complicated things out there, depending on the game. I mean, there are easier games, and there are harder games where, fun fact, Magic the Gathering, which is a TCG, is Turing complete. A Turing machine, which was back in the early 20th century, is a precursor to the computer. Mm-hmm. So what a Turing machine could do is it could, on a tape, could change a variable. So there are enough cards in Magic the Gathering that you can change variables and almost do math using Magic the Gathering.
That's incredible.
I'm dead serious. There is a video on YouTube that you can search. Just search up Magic the Gathering is Turing complete, and it is a wonderful science experiment. So if you're bored and you really want to learn something new today, there's your fun fact of the day. So tell us a little bit more about TCGs.
This is a very wide-ranging hobby. Much like RPGs, there are so very many trading card games, collectible card games. Like we mentioned before, it's really focused on fantasy and some science fiction, horror themes, cartoons. I know a lot of our more popular trading card games like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually have cartoons associated with them.
Right. There's a lot of like emphasis on franchise card games.
Yes.
So like Magic the Gathering was based off of Dungeons and Dragons. Pokemon card games were based off of the Pokemon games at the time, including the anime. And then Yu-Gi-Oh! The anime was based off of the card game. Mm-hmm. So, fun fact, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime totally breaks all the rules of the card game.
Does it really?
Yeah. Oh, and another really popular current TCG is Dragon Ball, which is a very Japanese form of TCG.
Yeah, I didn't actually know until we started researching that Dragon Ball is now a trading card game. Yeah.
It's very popular It's one of the bigger ones right now. Trading card games have these like 3 pillars of trading card games, which is Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh. And then there's ones that kind of flow and then disappear throughout time.
Right.
Obviously, if you're looking to get into this, there will be some card games that come in and might stick. You never know. But the ones that have stood the test of time right now are Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh. And they obviously change in popularity over time, but they're all based off the same ideas. So
Right.
there's also online games. Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering Arena, Gwent, Artifact, and then Legends of Runeterra is a new online based off of a popular game, League of Legends. Next up, we're going to move over to our Supernova facts. Facts. I'm going to let Cole take over for this.
Regular card games have been around for a very long time. Playing card games were invented by the Chinese before 1000 AD.
Wow.
And they reached Europe around 1360, not directly from China, but from
The Mameluke.
Mameluke.
Empire of Egypt. I don't know what that is. We got this from The Guardian.
Okay, all right. And some of the first collectible card games were actually based around baseball. And at first, it really began just as collecting the players of the game.
Right. There was no I put down my Babe Ruth against
Right.
your.
It wasn't this huge thing where there was any sort of strategy to the game. It was really basically having, okay, I have all of these guys and they're my team. Who do you have on your team? And then
There was no rules. You didn't face them. It was just like a collecting thing.
right, it was just collecting my player has more runs than you or something like that.
Mine's more rare. Mine
Right.
has a misprint. Very big thing in the trading card community, or not a big thing, but a large sector of the people will collect misprints.
Right, and that's where your collecting gets a bit more expensive is
Oh
when
my
you get to
gosh.
those rarities.
Different rare things.
I think there are definitely 2 types of people who go into collecting, specifically collecting card games, is the people who want to play it and the people who just want to have that known that they have a super rare card.
Yeah, to break the ice, me and Cole are very avid card game players. As a fact, we will not have an interview today. We are the interview because we are the experts. Woot woot! But as I was saying, at our LGS, our local game store, which we'll be talking more about later on when we talk about where to do this, I know some people who just come in, they buy cards, they fill up their decks, their binders, and they say, "Well, I'm done here." That's all they wanted.
I don't think I could do that. I am personally one of those game players. I just really like the competition aspect of it and getting those new cards and getting to know those cards in your new deck.
Right.
It's really fun to
There's
me.
something about it that's just not only the look and then suddenly, it's powerful too.
Yes. And whenever you draw one or you see your hand, you're like, yes, this card will get me somewhere.
I mean, yeah, it is ridiculously fun. I personally play Magic the Gathering. I know you play Pokemon. Mm-hmm. So we kind of have a little bit of a duality there. We're missing a Yu-Gi-Oh player.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
one of
Yu-Gi-Oh.
those. Sorry.
But I have dabbled in a little bit of the online card gaming atmosphere, so that's fun too. Now back to the sort of the roots of trading card games. A definition from Board Game Geek, which is one of the first ever baseball card games. It was never published, but I'll let Cole talk about that a little bit more.
The baseball card game, designed by Allegheny Card Company, is an unpublished prototype box card game. The prototype contained 112 cards featuring 104 players with an additional 8 team ball counter cards. There is exactly one original copy of this game discovered in the 1980s, and it has since had the cards auctioned separately by Lou Lipsett in April of 2000. There seemed to have been a set of rules found with the prototype, but what became of them after the components were split up is unknown. The game was registered on April 5th, 1904, but it was never published.
So potentially one of the first ever trading card games, just never published. Because it seems like they had a rule set, potentially.
Yeah, it does seem that way. I think that's interesting in the reflection of how trading cards are nowadays, trading card games specifically, is because there are some that hit and then some that completely miss.
Hey, better.
Yeah.
So we kind of move from this ancient times to the early 19th century to the early 20th century to the 1990s, where before this time, RPGs were kind of been sweeping that geeky subculture market.
Oh yeah, RPGs started to really build what I feel like all the hidden nerds were really looking for, was a place to really get a community going and just use your imagination. And I think trading cards games kind of leaped off of RPGs.
Right. So Richard Garfield, which you might recognize this name, is one of the biggest names in modern board gaming and card gaming, was attempting to design a game called Robo Rally. When pitching this to the Wizards of the Coast, they told him that they didn't have the money to develop it and that he would need to make the game. He would need to make a game to raise funds for this game. He then created, in a college chemistry lab, the first ever TCG, Magic. And when I say first ever TCG, I mean the first ever published trading card game.
Wow.
Wow. It sold. Like, it was hard to find any alpha or beta sets. They would fly off of the shelves.
You could almost say it was a home run.
Stop.
I have to. I have to be the one that makes those jokes.
Oh my gosh. But you could actually find some of the pictures of the original cards. They would physically write out, like, with pencil and paper and made little squares and would play the game with them. Which
Interesting.
They still do that to this date. Where when they're designing new cards, they have like templates, but they write them out in pen and paper, and then they play with them with the game designers, and they're like, that's a bit too strong, or what is this? This is bad. Get it out of here.
Soon after this TCG made it and was published and grew, a huge wave of TCGs hit the market. Most notably were games like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and many other card games based off popular shows and franchises.
And there were a lot of, like she just said, a lot of games that were published specifically right after, but a lot of them kind of hit and missed. Funny enough, Steve Jackson developed his Illuminati board game, one of our prior interview guests, into a Illuminati card game, which was kind of popular for a small amount of time.
That seems like it would have been.
Yeah.
But again, like we said, there's really only those three pillars that have really stayed true to the TCG kind of realm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's really Pokemon, Magic, and Yu-Gi-Oh!
And everything's
for some reason.
Everything's just a copy of Magic, to be honest. And then Magic's just a copy of baseball cards. And then baseball cards are just a copy of old Chinese playing card games.
Right. It's just updated through the years.
As time moved on, some have stood the test of time and some have fallen into obscurity, which a lot of them have. Let's be honest, a lot of them have. Mm-hmm. And today, we see a very, very large resurgence of popularity in TCGs.
I think that probably has something to do with, again, going back to our RPG episode.
Which, by the way, at this point, we should just say...
As related to back to the RPG episode, we've had a lot of popular resurgence in television and streaming certain series. And I think that has really brought up the nerds in everyone, the curiosity and imagination. So it's not surprising that TCGs have started to come back.
It's not surprising, especially when you take into account the popularity of video game TCGs, which are also called ECGs, electronic card games, especially stuff like Hearthstone, which is very popular with streaming, which I think we can't downplay that the resurgence in this hobby in particular is from streaming, I would say. I mean, even paper card Magic still gets hundreds of thousands of views on Twitch when they do their really big player tours, which is just professional card play. Yes, you can professionally play these games.
Oh man, that would be something, wouldn't it?
That's so stupid. Why can't I have that as a job?
You only think it's stupid because you ain't being paid for it.
And then I'd say it's amazing, but what can I do? I can just keep making my commander decks and hoping that one day it becomes a viable job. It's not going to happen, is it, audience?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Probably going to be a miss.
Well, that's okay because TCGs sell randomized packs of cards, mostly known as a pack or booster packs. These typically, as I think this was mentioned before in the explanation of what a TCG was, but you buy these packs and they have 8 to 15 cards in them and they're randomized. So that's where you get your rarities of like common, uncommon, rare, super rare, and then all the Japanese ones are just like SS rare. And then or if you're looking at Pokemon, like evolved rare.
Yes.
Or they're all just different varieties of the word rare. So funny enough, some are more rare than others.
This is very true.
How it used to be back in the day was a rare was what it was, rare. It was like there's common cards and then there was rare cards. But as we kind of had this, I'm going to use a term called power creep.
Okay.
We try to make things feel more rare. So
yes, it's a marketing tactic, I would definitely say.
Yeah, the marketing tactic has changed. But that's the idea of when you open these packs, you have rare cards and common cards. So can you tell us about the different ways that you can play any TCG?
All right, so there are... All right, and like was said before, there are many different ways to play. Just to list a few, there's draft, which you receive multiple packs of cards and you create your own deck from there. And then there's already constructed, which of course is what I just said, is pre-made or pre-constructed decks that you can play with automatically. And then there's historic, where every card is usable. And then standard, where there's only the newer cards are available to be used.
Right. And within that, you're going to have different TCGs. We'll call them different things, but it will be a kind of a development of that. Because they have to keep selling cards.
Right.
So they have sets that build on stuff, and then they have historic or whatever you want to call it in your TCG where every card is playable. The thing about TCGs is that you can have you can play your cards in the formats that are older, and then you can play what is mostly called standard sets, which are what is the newest set plus back a few, and then the older cards. Like every time a new set comes out, your oldest set kind of rotates out. So it keeps trucking along, which it can make it kind of expensive to keep up with the newest stuff. But if you keep playing with your old cards, they're still going to be. The term is legal, which just means they're able to be played in a competitive format. It can be kind of expensive to keep up with standard cards.
Yes.
Because they're constantly rotating and you need to constantly be buying new cards.
Right, and that can be
a little bit costly.
Yes.
Which we'll talk more about in our rocket fuel section, but go continue.
Some cards do get banned specifically because they're too strong, or they...
Like, these would make these cards illegal in competitive format. And I keep on saying this word competitive. What that basically means, if you were to go to a tournament at your LGS, you're going to go to a bigger tournament with other people, you need to follow the legalese of the TCG.
If you have a group of friends that they're completely fine with you playing that banned card, then all right. Yeah. It is what it is. But in a competitive setting, like you said before, when you go to a game store, they're going to have all these rules set out for you.
Or, you can just kind of talk other people into saying, I'm going to play with my banned cards, but then they'll play with their banned cards, and then it's a fun trip.
That's where it gets really hard, because usually those cards are banned for a reason.
So we're kind of moving into our notes section. Now we're going to move into our notes section. So my thoughts on cards. I love cards. The smell of the ink.
So much fun.
The excitement of opening a new pack. The excitement of delving into a new deck that you've just you've calculated into the... It makes you feel like an anime character.
It does. I mean, you're sitting there and you're like, yes, I have this strategic plan going on and I will beat you. Yes. You have the anime fist going on like, yes.
Or strategically pushes up glasses.
Oh, right.
There's just a certain kind of joy in not only playing but collecting as well. I feel every card that I have seen in every TCG has, I mean, some more than others, and it can be aesthetic, so that's subjective, but
right.
Beautifully crafted art.
Oh, definitely. I think in the gaming world specifically, there's just so much imagination and creativity, and getting new cards is so exciting because you never know what's going to be in there, for one, or if you get one of those randomized packs. And
do you want a steampunk dragon? I know I want a steampunk dragon.
Heck
His
yeah.
name is Niv Mizzet from Magic the Gathering.
But you wouldn't know, and you would open it and there it is, and it's beautiful and crazy at the same time.
There's so much creativity and then so much greed depending on some of the companies and the way that they run it sometimes.
Yes.
That is one of the drawbacks, I would say, within TCGs, is you'll kind of get this feeling of, I feel like they're just going after my money right now and not for like the joy of it.
Right. I'd say for people getting into this hobby, it is a lot about joy, and the enjoyment of either playing the game or just seeing the new artwork. But it can be a drawback if you're a little bit more corporate conscious, I guess I would say.
Yeah, because if you're looking at like... Fun thing about TCGs too, which I want to get into when we talk about money, but there is whole secondary markets devoted to this. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about, you obviously when you get a card, you can sell it back. Right. So there's like people who literally spend their time flipping Magic cards like it's real estate.
That's a little crazy to me.
Yeah. It is a bit like these cards have worth to people.
They do.
Which is...
It has a lot to do with rarity and also, what word am I looking for? Sentimental value.
Sentimental value and power level too. Mm-hmm. Power level is a term that's used for how strong a card is. So if a card is very strong and does something...
How much their attacks are worth.
Their attacks are worth, what they do, like their effects, or it's generally an effect or something like that, where like I'm going to pull up on the computer. Speaking of prices, one of the most powerful cards in Magic and one of the most nostalgic cards is called the Black Lotus. Yes, much like the car, the Black Lotus. It is literally a lotus that is black. And its effect is crazy. But to get you an idea of the cost of this card, the last one sold on eBay, and I have it right in front of me, $166,100.
That's an insane amount of money.
That is ridiculous amount of money.
I mean, all this to say, it's really important to people.
It's true. So, and when it comes to prices like that, it comes down to these two companies that grade cards. And by grading, they go in and they say, oh, this is too scuffed, like the back, the art is faded, it got printed wrong, or they kind of look at all that stuff and they give it a grade 1 out of 10. And in the card grading world, this is the PSA and the BGS. And these, they grade cards like baseball cards, Magic cards. I believe there's another one for baseball cards, but I do not have that currently in my notes. And obviously the higher the grade, the more expensive. The more expensive it is. And specifically for some reason within the TCG world, it's the older cards that get graded, not the newer cards. I think it has,
they haven't been around as long.
I think it's the fact that printing is so good nowadays. Right. Well, back in the day, you could have like, oh, it's off-centered or like stuff like that. Specifically in like, Pokemon and Magic, because those were older not 90s card games.
I was just going to say that I feel like this hobby can't be just a one-person hobby.
No.
I mean, yes, you can have that, just that binder full of, oh yes, I have all of these cards, which is great. You can definitely do that. But to not have someone to play with or to not have someone to show them to, it's not as fun.
And we also have online ways of doing things. Computer games have really brought back these card games. Really, it's really due to these online card games that have brought back like Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! People back to say, I want to play these old card games that I used to play as a kid. Because now they see, oh, I can do this at work on my phone if I'm playing Hearthstone, or I can go on my laptop and play some Magic Arena or stuff like that. And then you think about it, it's like, I could get these physically.
Right.
That's so cool. Or you play Pokemon and then you're like, wait, this was a card game?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm
a jam.
throwing out that shade.
Jam.
But I would agree to an extent with that you could there are some aspects which people do all the time for collecting purposes, the financial purposes, art, stuff like that. But I mean, if you like playing games, if you like imagination and thinking that you're a wizard throwing lightning, or you're someone throwing out a mythical creature from a weird ball, or you're summoning demons from the deep. I'm sure that's the plot of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not, but just that creativity, it helps to have other people. That community aspect is so awesome about this hobby.
And then we can move straight into where you find these card games.
Amazon.
I was gonna go to local game stores because you mentioned community, but
Amazon. I've been paid
Walmart.
$15 to say Amazon.
No, he hasn't been paid. Actually, this is not sponsored.
We're not sponsored, but Amazon, call me.
Oh my god. Yeah, so local game stores, you can always find some really great games there. RPGs, like we mentioned in a previous podcast.
Which you should go download.
Definitely do that. It's fun. But they will also let you know what the most current TCGs are and the ones that already have games going on. You can join in, or they'll have tournaments for you. Those are really fun.
Or the ones where the company completely messed up and now they're dying because they overprinted or XYZ. Right. This is where you get your information from the card veterans.
Right. And like I mentioned before, there are competitions that a lot of times local game stores will host, but then there are festivals, and of course there are board game conventions, which of course with the word game in it, you'll probably find trading card games or video games or anything you can possibly imagine regarding games.
Board game conventions can be a little bit more specific, but when you get into the idea of game conventions, it's literally hundreds of thousands of nerds coming together. Everything is on the table.
Oh yeah, and of course all of the businesses that are trying to market to those individuals as well.
Oh yeah.
That's where you get all your free goodie bag stuff.
Oh, the free goodies bag stuff is so good. Deck boxes, promotional art, get your signed by your favorite artist.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it's so good. The festivals, the competitions, and the conventions are all different. They typically kind of feature the same ideas. Get cool card promos, play in competition, win cool prizes, trade cards with others, meet artists and game designers, get new information on releases. Done.
Yes.
We've talked about conventions so much.
we have. It's, to be honest, it's just a group of people coming together about what they like.
Right? And then the people who are selling it to them being like, new stuff, and then they all cheer.
Yes.
Insert cheering effect, AJ. Please do it.
Yes.
This is getting awkward. Oh, there it is.
Yay. There are also online games and online sellers. There are free online games like Hearthstone, we mentioned before. Arena, is that Magic the Gathering Arena?
Magic, the Gathering, the Arena. And yes, it is free. You can technically free to play it. So
that's cool.
So you can buy stuff, but it's like it's almost like those free to play, like much better design, but free to play phone games where it's like, oh, I could get all the cards, but it's going to take me like 5 months of just playing every day.
Right.
Yep.
And of course, we got apps like
Other online games would be Hearthstone, Legends of Runeterra, which just released its beta, and it's been very popular. So make sure to check out that, and lots of other more popular ones.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I know Steam, which is a popular gaming site thing, has its own trading card thing within it.
It's called Artifact, and it's awful. That's a subjective thing. I probably shouldn't be sharing my opinion in this, but it's awful. And there was a Elder Scrolls version online game, which is now discontinued. You could technically still go and play it, but they have discontinued development, which means they won't be. And this kind of goes into the whole thing of, like I said, these newer TCGs, ECGs, CCGs, whatever you like to call them, they will come and go like the tide. Some might stick, and they might become another pillar that becomes another history like check in Wikipedia. But
yeah,
for now, it's mostly going to be in physical, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and then right now online, Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering Arena.
another online thing that I wanted to mention was, of those three, I know two of them, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon have online card databases. So if you're curious, like cards you have and how they interact with others, or if you're looking for newer cards, you can go in there and search specific energies and that sort of thing, with Pokemon specifically. But
right, and I actually played the Yu-Gi-Oh! One, so where I learned to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually, but they act more like programs than games. Like they act like, oh, this is what this interaction does, and it's interesting. If
it's a good, like, informative type thing. Yes,
and I will go into specifically those ones when I get into budgeting. But next up, we're going to be talking about online sellers. Where can I buy cards online?
Amazon. You can also get them at Walmart. I mean, most retailers will have them. CVS, Walgreens.
But most of the time, it's only going to be your bigger, most recognizable ones.
It's not going to be those small ones.
But if you're looking for a place online to get those smaller ones, there are plenty. But the biggest one you're going to find is TCG Player, which literally has TCG in the name. So
Google it.
Miniature Market is also a pretty big online market. And eBay. Actually, surprisingly, eBay is going to be huge. But that's when we get into that secondary market. A great way to receive specific cards that your store don't have. So when I'm talking about this is where the secondary market comes into play. There are cards that you cannot buy anymore. Or if you want to buy a pack, it would be obscenely expensive to get that pack. But I want one card. I'm not going to buy a pack for that card. So there is a market called the secondary market, which just means secondary as in not sold by the company that originally made it. They're sold by people who have the cards and now reselling them online. You can buy it from those resellers. This is a gray legal area that is turned into $1 million thing. There are people who are making millions off that. Like I said, that Black Lotus that sold for $100,000, $166,000. That was sold on the secondary market. Like, it's technically Wizards of the Coast that owns that, but
it's a reseller, basically.
So it's really normal to buy from other players, to trade from other players. Let's move into our rocket fuel. How much does it take to take a part of this? And not as expensive as cards, but in a less practical way.
Yeah.
A little bit expensive depending on how you want to do this.
Yeah, we wrote something down here. We would say an easier starter pack would range anywhere from $10 to, if you want to get a larger pack, to around $40 is what I've seen.
Yeah, so these are like deck building kits. They give you a bunch of cards to choose from, and a lot of the times they can be sometimes less expensive, sometimes more expensive. MTG, which is also known as Magic the Gathering, most popular format, Commander, which is just a different way to play. When we talk about formats, we talked earlier, it's just a different way to play. They have decks for sale for that format for $40, and you're like, wait, that's ridiculous. But you also have to realize that those decks are obscenely large. We're talking like 100 cards.
Right.
Which, if you put sleeves on all of those, is like this big.
So big.
Which I can't really show you, but imagine the size of 100 cards stacked on a side of each other.
Yeah, I mean, if you just want to buy randomized packs like we were talking about before, it can range from $5 to $10. But if you're really getting started, I would definitely recommend getting the higher buy-in at first, because you're going to get more for your money that way.
Yeah, and not only that, you can start playing.
Right.
So we'll talk about our final thought, which is, as always, our final buy-in, what it costs to get into this hobby at the bare minimum. We'll move on to cards can cost pennies to hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, they can be really expensive. I know we mentioned before, like, that Black Lotus card was
ridiculous. But
ridiculous.
Imagine a Gen 1 Charizard. Just her face right now. And I'm sure original Blue Eyes White Dragon and Yu-Gi-Oh! They obviously these are like the creme de la creme for cards. They're the most expensive rare cards, and that's why they cost so much.
Right.
But when we get down to it, you can buy like very viable cards for like $1. And then you can build up a deck for like under $40. Drafts. So drafting is a specific version of playing. We explained what it was earlier. So, but these can cost around $15. And the reason being is that you're buying the packs that you're playing with, because you get to keep those cards that you choose.
Right.
And then if you win the draft, because it's a competition, you're drafting with other people to build decks to play against other people. You can get more booster packs, which can sometimes you can make your money back within that. Budgeting options.
Right.
Just like with anything, there's ways to cheese the system.
Cheese.
Specifically, like always, just use a friend's.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely, when I first got started, it was from a friend. My friend had a deck that she no longer wanted and just gave it to me. It was pretty bomb.
And some games even provide free starter decks. Like, they are bare minimum, like just enough cards to get you started. But
you won't win. It just won't happen.
But it can give you, if you do like a starter, I've seen people do starter deck versus starter deck, especially in Magic. And that can be fun, because it's like my terrible deck versus your terrible deck. Which one wins? But you can also create budget decks at around $40. And I was looking at different TCGs, and they generally, the bottom like can be anywhere from $20 to $40 to $80. Which, by the way, keep in mind, for competitive decks, which means decks that would be viable at a competition, as in you could potentially win.
Right. This
is cheap, because I've seen decks in many different card games that have costed upwards of $500 to $1,000. Ridiculous. And they don't win.
Oh, gosh.
I've seen a deck that costs $600 get beat by a deck that costs $40.
It's just...
It doesn't matter. The price isn't what matters. It's like who is better at the game.
And the strategy behind the game with the cards you've built.
Which is, I think, what kind of deviates this from the RPGs. Because we've been kind of talking about RPG a lot in this, because it has that same creativity. But here's what it deviates. In this, it's about the strategy.
Right. You really have to have a mind for it, or learn the mind for what you should be doing, what card you should play now versus when you should hold it back and save it for later.
And then sometimes your card game could just potentially be a computer.
Yep.
So, to finish off our final thoughts, our initial buy-in for TCGs is $20 for a starter deck, $40 depending on the TCG you're in. And my final thought would be just play like a lot of these things. Just figure out what your friends are doing.
Oh, yeah, totally. And if you don't have any friends playing, go to an online community or go to a local game store. Yeah,
I can't stress enough, support your local game store. It is where you'll be able to find the community to get friends, for one. You can do it. I believe in you, you introverted butterfly. Come out of your cocoon. Go to an LGS and find some people to play with. So, any closing thoughts?
Just enjoy it, truly. I mean, that's what hobbies are really about, is learning new things and enjoying them. And this is a hobby that can be of great joy in your life.
And we'll call that episode a home run.
Oh my God, he did it.
I did it.
He did it.
Bye-bye.
This has been a Tarleton Radio Network podcast with production from AJ Heyer and Taylor Welch. Find more great shows by searching Tarleton Radio Network wherever you get your podcasts.